Yes, I'm live. Hello, hello. I'm live on Instagram and I'm live on Facebook. And yes. Come on in the room. It is Love Power Wednesday, 8 o'clock on Wednesdays. Uh, I come to you with Love Power Wednesdays. So I'm going to give it a moment for it to let everybody know that your girl is on. Let me silence my phone. How about that? So we can get started. If you are joining on Facebook, just know you have to go to streamyard.com/Facebook to give Facebook permission so that I can see your comments live and in person and in real time if you're commenting then. If not, I'll just go back to the live stream and interact with you in the chat. That way, if you're watching this on the replay, use hashtag replay, shout out so I know that you listen and that you were here and in the building. I literally just hopped out of the car to run in here to make sure I gave y'all this. I had to, not had to, I got to, I chose to, right? Last week we talked about empowering language. So I chose to support my dad and helping him get some stuff together that he needed to get done tonight. And so I'm just getting back in the house. But that's what we do as family, right? So tonight's topic is the importance of rest, which actually is so critical right now for me. I'm coming off a weekend. I'm coming off of actually, my hand was swollen and still a little tender. My joints and my wrists, rather, my wrist more than my hand, was swollen. And I, so my doctor was like, it's gout. And I was like, no, because old people get that. And he was like, no, this is. So part of it, he's like, there's some stress brings it on. Shellfish, and your girl loves some shrimp and crabs. So anyway, recovering over that really that this weekend, um, just really for me drove home the importance of rest. So all day Friday, I was in severe, excruciating pain. Friday and Saturday, and even into Sunday a little bit too. Still swollen and stuff, but I was able to get some major rest. And I wish we could bank rest like you can, like if you sleep, past 8 hours, and you can like, okay, if you sleep 10 hours in a day, then you can take those 2 hours and bank them for another day. I wish it worked that way. It doesn't work that way. Anyway, but rest is so critical to everything, the way God designed and ordained our bodies to work and operate. So, from a physical perspective, rest is critical. So many of our the cycle, if you will, of our life, our rhythmic cycle, our cycle that we have, our rhythmic cycle of our body, is so important that rest. A lot of things get reset at night. A lot of things get kind of flushed out at night, um, when we actually take time to rest and good and sleep, not just sleep but rest, because there's a difference. I don't know if you've ever been asleep but still woke up tired. So there are times, where we go to bed and you may sleep, but you still wake up not feeling rested. And so rest is critical to our physical body. It keeps our cortisol level down, which for those of us that carry our weight in the midsection, a lot of that may be related to cortisol and increased cortisol. And a part of that is not getting enough rest. Like our cortisol is increased when we don't get enough rest and we have stress and all that stuff going on in our bodies. So rest is critical. It is critical to the resetting of our brain and how our brain kind of goes through it's just, when I think about this thing, God is just so awesome. Everything in this world has a rhythm, right? So we know the seasons have a rhythm: winter, spring, summer, fall, right? Our months have a rhythm. Um, the waves in the ocean have a rhythm. The way our whole ecosystem works has a rhythm. The way that water comes down to refresh the earth, the trees get it, right? Nutrients, provides nutrients to the trees. It gets condensation, right? Evaporation. Y'all remember what's the second, third grade physical science? Goes back up into the air, right? Gets evaporated, comes back down. It's just there's a rhythm and a cycle to things in life, and rest helps to keep that rhythm in place. And when we don't get the rest we need, the rhythm gets off, and things start to show up in our bodies. Like I was just telling y'all, I had gout in my wrist, which I had never heard. One, everybody I know that had gout is old, and I'm like, I ain't old. But two, I've never known it to be in any other joint other than like in their feet or something. And so this experience really was teaching me some things, just but the importance of rest. And sometimes when we don't rest, our body's like, oh, you gonna sit down, right? So it comes in the form of migraines, it comes in the form of gout, it comes in the form of headaches, it comes in the form of ulcers, it comes in the form of different kind of gastrointestinal, it comes in the form of heart disease, it comes in the form of skin breaking out, like all of these things. Rest really contributes to all of this. So our physical body needs rest. And when we don't give it the rest it needs, it shouts and cries out until it gets what it needs. Um, and this is why it's so critical that you put yourself have a routine even at night. A lot of times we talk about what's your morning routine to get empowered and ready for your day. And people, get up early, they work out, they read scripture, they do meditation, all these things we do. And I do those things right in the morning. But a lot of times we don't talk about that night routine of like beginning to settle your body down, settle your mind down to prepare for the rest that you want to have that night. And so a lot of people take their phones and their laptops and they work in the bed. You watch TV all night. About 5 years ago now, maybe even more, I took my TV out of my room completely. Just I don't have it in my room. And the reason I did that was because I knew I didn't want to have the TV on all night. I used to sleep with the TV on all night. And then I would sleep where I would set it where the timer would go off, and I would go to sleep to TV. But all the research says cut all that stuff out. The light from the TV, the light from our phones, all that interrupts our rhythm and our ability to really go to sleep. The blue light issues. So I a lot of us, sleep with the phone right next to us. Most of the time, I won't say all the time, but most of the time, I sleep with my phone on the other side of the room where I can't get to it. So that's not the last thing I'm doing at night, right? That's not the first thing I'm grabbing in the morning. So it's on the other side of the room. Also, it makes me get up because when the alarm goes off, I got to go on the other side of the room to get the alarm, get the phone, turn it off. And in that moment, have to make the decision: do I go get back in the bed, or do I, get on up for the day? And usually, I ain't gonna say all the time, but usually, I get on up and start my day. But at night, like preparing, right? Even when you cut all that stuff out of your room, like you don't work. I used to work in my bed. I used to bring my laptop to bed. All of these things, but disassociating your bedroom, that space, um, with work, making your room the place where you go to bed your sanctuary, where your body, like, it's almost like you get to the point where your body knows, when I enter this space at this time of night, I know that we're about to go into rest. I know we're about to sleep, right? And so it's like retraining your body to even what to expect when it goes into that room, into your bedroom. And so creating a space of rest, even in your bedroom, creating, so get the things that you enjoy, the things that calm you, get your fragrances that you love, right? Your essential oils that you like to have at night, your lavenders, those things. Get the bedding that you like. These bamboo sheets are so nice. So do it right so you can sleep well. Get a pillow, get a really good pillow, right? It's worth the investment. I bought probably now 2 years ago one of those. It's a mattress. It's the adjustable mattress, right? And it's like firm with a little bit of cushion on top because I like firm bed. But that adjustable mattress, man, when I tell you I raised that thing up just a little bit, woo, that's sleep right there. But I made the investment because I know how important rest is, and I wanted to make it a priority in my life. Not laziness, not staying in the bed all day, but when I do go to bed, I want to make sure it's restful and that it's a great sleep. So our physical bodies need rest, but not just our physical bodies, our soul, our spirit, our soul, our mind needs rest. So often we, and this used to be me, right? And some days, even still now, you have those sprints, if you will, and the work that you have. You got to put your head down and make it happen, and you may, work overtime and get it down, but you cannot sustain that. You need to have an endpoint. You need to say, you know what, I'm gonna put my head down these next 2 days, 3 days. I'm gonna have to give it all I have, but I already have on the other side planned time for rest. So I'm gonna take 2 days off after that, or I'm gonna sleep in these next 2 days, whatever that is, so that you can restore your sanity. You need to rest your mind from the news. I rarely watch the news now. If I find out about anything happening, usually it's because I've gone, and my parents are watching the news, and I've seen them watching the news, and some stories up, and I'm like, oh, what's happening? Or something comes across my news feed and it's interesting or something, I'm like, oh wow, breaking news. I'll click on it and find out an article. But for the most part, I don't like, the news is not a daily part. And it used to be. Um, I would be a CNN junkie, like watching it over and over again, show after show. And I had to release that. I didn't like what was coming up for me. My mind was not restful. I was always worried. Um, Especially when it got with all the political unrest, all the political stuff and social unrest that we had in 2020. But even before then, I had really started minimizing my news intake. And so you got to ask yourself, what are those things that are causing your brain to keep churning, where you can't come out of the cycle of like thinking about it over and over again? Those of you with children, sometimes you worry about your kids so much you can't rest your mind, and you don't have to make it a practice. It's a discipline where you disconnect from those things, where you sit in silence, where you sit in solitude, and you let your mind just calm, bring it down. There's so many apps now. I listen to Abide. Is They have a YouTube channel. They have an app as well, but I listen to their YouTube channel. It's scripture reading, sometimes Bible story reading. I'll listen to just sometimes what I call soaking worship. It's instrumental soaking worship, where it just kind of lets me calm down from whatever may have been agitating me. Those are things that we need to bring into our daily practice, so that not just our body gets the rest when we go to sleep, but our mind gets the rest. Because some of us can't sleep because our mind won't rest. Our mind won't stop. We're trying to figure out everything. And so we are living and operating in anxiety about tomorrow, about what's going to happen, what even might happen. You don't even know, right? You're already, anxiety is fear today about something that might happen tomorrow. It's fear today about something that might happen tomorrow. And so we worry about things and we have anxiety around things that may not even come to pass and may not even happen. And so there's the practice of slowing down your mind, the practice of meditating, getting quiet, using the tools that are available to you. Like I said, apps and music to help get you to where you need to be, so that you can rest your mind. And Jesus tells us, right? All of you who are weary, come to me, or heavy laden, come to me, and I will give you rest. Like he gives us rest. And that giving of rest to us is basically the assurance that everything's going to be okay. So you can rest, because it's going to all work out for your good. The rest that God gives us, the rest we get through our relationship with Jesus, is that the price has been paid. So why y'all tripping? What we tripping about? That allows for rest. To know that every problem that you have, God has already ordained and created the solution for it. That gives you rest. Like, you can go to bed at night. You can stop worrying about it because the solution is already there. It's just a matter oftentimes of you getting to that place where it happens for you. Because God is not confined by time, can literally go into our future, have everything worked out, right? So, but we are defined by time. We cannot operate outside of present moment. We can't go into our own future and make things happen. And so because of that, right, we have to wait. But God has already worked it out. So the thing you're worried about right now, that you're stressing about right now, that won't allow your mind to rest, it God could have already worked that thing out next Wednesday. So today is Wednesday. By next Wednesday, it could already be worked out. God has already gone ahead of you, put people, things, and everything in order. It's already worked, like already mapped out, already worked out. The problem is you got to get to Wednesday. You got to get to that moment. But you rest in the knowing that it's already done. You rest in the knowing. This is how we literally walk by faith. Literally walking by faith, because we're resting in the knowing, the faith, right? Which is a knowing that it's going to happen, and assurance, right? So we walk by faith, knowing that it's already worked out on our behalf. And this is why it's so important that we know the promises of God, that we not just know them, but we believe them, we embody them, that we operate our lives, and we operate from a knowing that those things will come to pass, and ultimately all things will work together for our good. So that gives me rest. That's the importance of rest, but that's also how you get rest. Your mind, your spirit gets rest by understanding and walking fully in the promises of God, knowing that God has already worked it out, knowing that there's nothing that you're going to experience that's going to be more than you're able to bear. And even with it, God will give you a way of escape. So there's nothing that's going to be on you that's more than you can handle. With more than you can handle with God. Let me say that. Now there's some stuff you're going to go through that if you don't have a spiritual grounding, if you don't have a circle of support, it's more than you can bear. But we haven't been called. And when people say that God won't put more on you than you can bear, kind of, but he will. But the whole thing is for you to be in community so that other people are bearing it with you. That's a whole nother teaching, a whole nother lesson. But knowing all of that supports you in finding rest. It's so critical, y'all. And I started about 2 weeks ago a meal planning and weight loss program, and really just getting healthy and fit. And like one of the things we talked about going into there was the importance of rest in that, and how all of the hormones need to get reset in our body. And so it's critical in every area of our life. And we don't get enough of it. We don't disconnect enough from our electronic devices. We don't disconnect enough from people just to get quiet and solitude for ourselves, to hear from God for ourselves. It's everything. And so once you discipline, it is a discipline. So it's not just going to happen. You're going to have to discipline it. You're going to have to put it in your calendar. And I'm not saying I am perfect at it, but when I look back to how frantic and frenetic my energy was 4 years ago, completely different life right now. The level of peace I walk in now, the level of rest I can walk in now, I do walk in now, is unimaginable. Unimaginable. And it's simple strategies that I did. And those of you that may be just joining, go back and re-listen to like my night routine, and how I get rid of all of this electronics and stuff like that. Those simple things made a difference. Waking up a little bit earlier so I can have the quiet time. I mean, like these aren't things that require money. They're not going to require all resources. It's going to require you to be disciplined. It's going to require you to be intentional about it. But rest is ours. Rest for our bodies, but also rest for our soul, our mind, our spirit. It's so critical. So that's what I had to share with y'all tonight. I hope you got something. Well, I know you did. Those of you all that this is for. I know when I do LovePower Wednesdays that it's for some people. And that you know the importance of rest in your life. And so LovePower Wednesdays, it's every Wednesdays at 8:00 on Facebook Live, YouTube Live, and Instagram Live. And I try to keep it to 30 minutes or less. So today will be or less. But again, I thank y'all so much for joining. If you're catching this after the live, be sure to use hashtag replay so I know that you watched. And those of you on Facebook, if you're commenting, I'll be able to see it once I go back in. Thank you for those of you who are joining on Instagram. God bless you all. I love you all dearly. Have an amazing night and see you all next Wednesday.